It is past midnight. The room is dark except for one light. The light coming from your phone. You are not looking for anything in particular. You are just scrolling. One thumb moving upward almost on its own. A video, a photo, someone's vacation, someone's body, someone's perfect kitchen with perfect light at the perfect hour of a perfect morning that somehow never seems to arrive in your own life. You keep scrolling, and somewhere beneath the surface of that gesture, something quiet is happening, something your conscious mind is not quite paying attention to, something worth understanding. You have done this before. You will do it again. And the question is not whether you should feel ashamed of it. The question is why you do it at all. Think about the last time you posted something, a photo, a thought, a moment you decided the world should see. You uploaded it, and then, without fully deciding to, you checked. Maybe 30 seconds later, maybe less. You went back, you looked at the number, you watched it, and depending on what that number did, something inside you shifted. A small warmth or a small cold, a quiet relief or a quiet deflation. You were waiting for something. You just may not have named it. There is a moment almost everyone has experienced, but almost no one talks about honestly. You post something. The responses are slow or absent, and you start to wonder, was it the photo? Was it the caption? Was it something about you, something invisible you cannot quite locate that made people scroll past instead of stopping? And so you delete it quietly, like it never happened, like you never reached out a hand and had no one take it. That moment, that small, silent moment of deleting something that did not perform the way you hoped, that is not vanity. That is not shallowness. That is a human being navigating a system that was built very deliberately to make them feel exactly that way. Here is what is happening inside your brain when you use social media. And it is not a moral failing, it is chemistry. Every time you receive a notification, a like, a comment, a small sign that someone saw you, your brain releases a trace of dopamine, the same chemical that fires when you eat something you love, when you hear a song that moves you, when something unexpected turns out to be good. Your brain is not doing anything wrong. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It is rewarding you for social connection because for most of human history, social connection was survival. But social media did something strange. It took that ancient reward system and it gamified it. It made the reward unpredictable, which is the most addictive kind of reward there is. Not every scroll produces something worth seeing. Not every post produces a response. And that unpredictability, that slot machine quality of not knowing what will come next, is precisely what keeps the thumb moving. You are not addicted to social media. You are responding completely normally to a system designed by some of the most sophisticated behavioral engineers in the world, whose entire purpose was to make it hard to stop. And then there is comparison, the quiet, relentless comparison. There is a psychologist named Leon Festinger who observed decades ago that human beings have a deep drive to evaluate themselves. And when we cannot evaluate ourselves against an objective standard, we do it against other people. We look sideways. We measure. We ask without always knowing we are asking, am I doing well enough? Am I enough? Social media is almost entirely built from the most edited, curated, illuminated version of other people's lives. Nobody posts the ordinary Tuesday. Nobody posts the argument or the loneliness or the quiet panic at 2 a.m. They post the trip, the dinner, the moment that, filtered and framed, becomes something close to beautiful. And you are comparing your unfiltered interior life to their filtered exterior one. You are comparing your behind the scenes to their highlight reel. And It is not a fair comparison. It was never designed to be. There is something deeper here, though. Something that the dopamine explanation and the comparison theory do not fully reach. Something worth sitting with for a moment. When you post something, what are you actually doing? You are making a choice about who to appear to be. You are selecting an image, a moment, a version of yourself, and presenting it to the world as representative. You are constructing an identity. And over time, if you are not careful, you can find yourself managing that constructed identity with more energy than you spend on the actual self underneath it. There is a version of you that exists online. It has a particular aesthetic, a particular voice. It gets a certain number of responses. And then there is a version of you that exists in silence. At 3 a.m., in the ordinary middle of an ordinary week, when no one is watching and nothing is being documented. The question that social media quietly, persistently raises without ever saying it out loud is this: which version is more real? And which version do you prefer? Most people, if they are honest, will admit that the offline version is more complicated, less curated, less easy to like. And that honesty, that gap between who we appear to be and who we actually are, is where a great deal of modern anxiety lives. Because what you are really looking for when you check the likes, when you refresh the page, when you wait for someone to see what you posted, is not really engagement with content. It is confirmation. Confirmation that you exist, that you matter, that the version of yourself you are presenting is worth something. And the tragedy is not that you want that. The tragedy is that no number of likes can actually give it to you. External validation can feel, briefly, like worth, but it cannot function as worth because it is borrowed. It depends on other people's attention. And other people's attention is the most unstable currency there is. People think social media is about connection, but often, if you look closely, it is about something else entirely. It is about being seen. There is a difference. Connection is mutual. It asks something of you and gives something back. It is uncomfortable sometimes. It changes you. Being seen is different. Being seen is one directional. It asks only that others look. And it can coexist quite easily with profound loneliness. You can have thousands of followers and feel invisible. You can receive 100 comments and still feel like no one actually knows you. And the scroll continues, not because it is satisfying, but because it is not. Because you are still looking, still waiting, still hoping that this next refresh will produce something that finally feels like enough. If any of this is landing somewhere familiar inside you, I want to say something clearly. You are not weak. You are not shallow. You are not a cautionary tale about the modern world. You are a human being with a brain that evolved for a very different kind of social environment, navigating a system that was engineered to be almost impossible to resist. The fact that it affects you is not a character flaw. It is evidence that you are human. But awareness is something. Awareness is not everything, but it is something. Because once you understand the loop, once you can see the mechanism for what it is, you gain a small amount of distance from it. You begin to be able to choose, even slightly, even imperfectly, rather than simply react. You can notice the reach for the phone without judgment and ask, quietly, what am I actually looking for right now? You can feel the pull toward comparison and recognize it for what it is: an ancient drive, misdirected, a brain trying to calibrate worth against a funhouse mirror. And you can, sometimes, put the phone down. Not because phones are evil, not because social media has no value, but because real life, unfiltered and unperforming, has a texture that a screen cannot replicate. The quality of sitting quietly, of a conversation that goes somewhere unexpected, of a feeling you have not yet decided how to frame for an audience. There is something that happens when you stop performing your life and start simply living it. It is not dramatic, there are no notifications, no one tells you that you did it right. But there is a quality to it that is different, something quieter and more solid than anything the scroll has ever given you. You already know this. You have felt it. The question is just how often you let yourself return to it. If this landed somewhere real for you, sit with it for a moment before you go anywhere else. That pause, that small, deliberate pause before the next scroll, is where everything starts.